Hey, this is Sean Keith with Keith Law Group. Wanted to take a few minutes again to answer a few questions that I've been asked recently on our website from people who have been injured as a result of someone else's negligence in a car wreck. So one of the first questions we get asked, and what's been asked of me, is how much money will this wreck mean to me? It's a fair question, and it's one of those that everybody, if they don't ask it, they're thinking it, okay? Your car was damaged and you were injured, then you're going to be able to demand, we call it a demand at our office, from the negligent driver's insurance company, different things. Number one, let's talk about the car. If it was totaled, then they owe you property damages for the amount that the fair market would bring for your car, okay? So you're entitled to the fair market value of your vehicle. We talk about in other videos throughout our websites, you can always call us, how do you prove that, okay? But you're entitled to the fair market value of your car. While you don't have a car, you're entitled to either be paid for not having a car, or they'll rent a car for you oftentimes. So number one, property damage, the car. If it's not totaled, then they're responsible to repair it back to the same condition that it was in before the wreck. All right. Now let's talk about your injuries themselves. As a result of you being injured, did you lose income? Did you miss work? Number one, that's a part of your damages. Number two, what about these medical bills? Who's going to pay those? So that's something that also you're entitled to. The other side is responsible for paying your medical bills. The trick is, and the secret is, make sure you use your own health insurance initially, and then you'll pay them back with money from the other side. Because oftentimes in Arkansas, for example, there's a minimum limit on the amount of insurance that the other driver has, and that is $25,000. Now you can carry a higher amount, but state law says you can get by with $25,000 in insurance. I just met with a client today who went to the emergency room and his bill was $24,000. That's why using your health insurance is so important. Okay? We'll talk about that. Call me, but you should never have to pay for a medical bill that was caused by the other driver's negligence. The only exception of that is if they didn't have insurance and you didn't have underinsured or uninsured coverage. Okay? All right, so medical bills, loss of income, property damage, all three of those you should be reimbursed. But what about the pain and suffering that you've gone through? What about the nights sleeping on the sofa or on the lazy boy because you can't get comfortable? What about the anxiety, the difficulty getting back in a car, the necessity of having to go see all these different doctors, physical therapists, counselors to help you get over the PTSD? What about that? To me, that's the most important thing, and you are entitled under the law for those damages. What does that mean for money? It means an amount that is fair to you, that fairly compensates you, and a lot of different factors go into it. That's why if you're injured in a car wreck, whether you hire me, my firm, or another lawyer, you need to get a lawyer if you've been injured. Those are all factors, but you're entitled to pain and suffering, compensation for your pain and suffering, compensation for anxiety, compensation for scars and the disfigurement. If you have a scar as a result of this, you're entitled to be compensated for that. And finally, compensated for the injury itself. If you've herniated a disc, that has a value amount. So call me if you've been injured in a car accident as a result of someone else's negligence. Call Keith Law Group. We will get your questions answered. You're not going to come out of pocket to pay me. You're going to pay at the end. I only collect whenever we recover on your behalf. I'm Sean Keith with Keith Law Group. Thank you very much.